This is One on One.
Do you love me? Do you love me, babe? Do you love me? Yeah. Oh, now that I'm dancing, babe. Yeah. Calling now around the world. Are you ready for a brand new beat? Summer's here and the time is right for dancing in the street. That's what the world is today. Hey, hey.
That's some great stuff from Motown The Musical, and the gentleman you're about to see on camera is all about it. He is Brandon Victor Dixon. He plays Berry Gordy,
Yes, sir.
who is all about Motown. First of all, welcome to our
Thank
studio.
you. Happy to be here.
Playing Berry Gordy, what is that like?
Well, considering that he wrote and produced the show and is involved in every creative aspect, it's a pain in my butt.
we should let folks know that Berry Gordy was Motown. Well, everyone connected to Motown was Motown. There would not have been a Motown if it were not for Berry Gordy.
No, I mean, he's the founder, and really, I mean, Berry, he was very fortunate, the artists he was able to find and come in contact with, but Berry taught them how to become the stars that they really became. And I was just at an event with him and Smokey on Tuesday, and Smokey spoke to that fact. You know, he just said without Berry Gordy, there would be no Smokey Robinson, there would be no Temptations, there would be no Michael Jackson.
Diana Ross?
No Stevie Wonder, no Diana Ross, no, you know. And
That's
Berry,
saying a lot.
That's saying a great deal. He's really, really the greatest music visionary in the history of the business.
How'd they find you? Why, they looked at you, somebody looked at you, some group of people looked at you and said, he's going to play Berry Gordy.
Well,
Which is amazing when you think about it, because they're looking at a lot of people.
well, you know,
Why
actually,
you?
the way it came about is our director, Charles Randolph Wright, is long been a mentor of mine, and he called me one day and he said, "You'll never guess whose house I'm walking out of right now. I land in New York tomorrow. Meet me at Chipotle at 7." And we got in there, and he said, "You know, I just left Berry Gordy's house. I'm going to be doing his show on Broadway, and I want you to be my Berry Gordy, and we just need to get together and figure out how to help him tell his story best on stage." Because as accomplished as Berry is, you know, live theater is a very different medium, and really he trusted Charles and my expertise in helping him do that. He really understands that he knows a lot of things, but he doesn't know everything. And Berry, even at his age, with all he's done, he's eager to learn more and absorb more and figure out how to do things better. And so they really just brought us in to help him create his vision.
What had you been doing up to that point?
Up to that point, I mean, I've been working in theater for many years. I originated a company of The Lion King as Simba. I was nominated for a Tony in The Color Purple, Oprah Winfrey's The Color Purple. The Scottsboro Boys, Kander and Ebb's final piece together, I did that with them as well. And I'd also worked with our other producer, because our show's produced by Berry Gordy, Kevin McCullum, who produced Rent and Avenue Q, In the Heights, and Doug Morris, who's the chairman and CEO of Sony Music. So Kevin also had me in Rent for a time as well. So I've been really just working in theater and shooting some television and doing concerts around the country. And then Charles called me and said, let's go meet the man himself.
So, you know, for those of us who are R&B fans, and more specifically Motown fans, we think about Berry Gordy and we think about these extraordinary performers. And when you watch some of the documentary footage, much of which is on PBS, and you can learn an awful lot about Motown through watching some of the documentary footage, a lot of it talks about Berry Gordy and the control as a leader and a manager that he had over these acts.
Yes.
And how precise and specific, the quality control, if you will, that he made sure was always in place. Is it over-exaggerated from your interaction with him and everyone else trying to find out about this? Was he in that much control?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, and we experience it on our show as well. Now, when people say control, I mean, I think they get kind of like a menacing image of it.
No detail too small.
Yeah, no detail too small at all. And really, we built Motown the Musical in the same way that he built his company. I mean, there was quality control. Now, he gathered the most intelligent people he could find in the medium, but really then it was like, okay, well, best idea wins. And he has an idea of what he thinks is the right thing. And if you think you have a better idea, he says, okay, well, don't tell me, show me. And if you're right, then you're right. He's like, but I believe my idea will be better than yours, but show me. And that's really how we proceeded. And it was a real collaborative effort. But yes, Berry was part of every single aspect of every detail of that show, the look, the feel, and even after we've opened. Barry still says, he comes back and he watches the show and he's like, that they're not really getting some of the little things that I put into this scene, so we're going to make an adjustment here. He wants to continue to refine.
Does he critique you?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Now,
He lets you know?
Yeah, he lets me know if there are things that he wants to come across differently or better. He lets me know, and sometimes I disagree with him, and we'll have that argument, but it's okay.
But the other thing about Berry Gordy that those of us who try to know about this stuff hear or think is that he was a complex character like most great geniuses, right? Diana Ross. They had a fascinating relationship, complex relationship. We're about to see a scene between you playing Berry Gordy, and who plays?
The wonderful Valicia LeKay. She plays Diana Ross.
Special?
She's beyond special. She's tremendous.
Let's take a look.
Please.
From Motown the Musical.
Come on, baby. And inspire you. Oh, I know you can make a man out of a soul who didn't have a goal. 'Cause we got the right foundation, and with love and determination, you're all I want. Stop for to do a little more for. You're all the joys under the sun are complete to one. You're all I need. You're all I need. You're all I need. To get
How great.
Yeah, she's spectacular. I love her so much.
Chemistry, immediately?
Yeah, actually, we met a few weeks after I got the job. We met because we were doing a reading, and when you're gonna share a relationship like that on stage, really the goal is to try and get to know each other, and we began to talk, and really did connect more quickly than I think I've connected with any other co-star I've worked with, and that relationship has only deepened over time.
And Berry Gordy and Diana Ross clearly connected on a lot of levels. So my question is this. How honest, how candid, how raw was Berry Gordy in sharing the good, the bad, and the sometimes ugly?
Very, very honest. Now, I will say it was a process. I mean, so we've been working on the show for about 3 years. And I would say from, my first time of meeting Berry here in New York, and then to traveling to LA and spending time with him at the house and really delving into the script and trying to figure out, because, we had a script, but when Charles and I were getting into it, and particularly me as an actor looking for pieces of the character and what it is really about digging through and trying to figure out, well, what do you mean here? I know you wrote this scene because this is what happened between you two, but what's the context of it? What was going on at the time in your relationship? Did you know that that she was out seeing somebody else at this time, or did she know you were seeing? It's
Oh
like
my
really
God.
to get the details of what the relationship
So it evolved.
is. Oh yes, it definitely evolved, because putting your life out on stage like that it's a difficult process, particularly when you're someone who's done so much and touched as many lives as Berry Gordy. So, and he's very protective of the artists that he created, that he has this relationship with. So really in creating a piece of theater, you want to be as honest as possible, particularly in your exploration of it. And so it was a process for him, really sharing, not necessarily sharing the pieces of himself, but beginning to share the pieces of himself that are connected to others, because he feels that responsibility. He takes it very seriously.
Your co-star, her first name again is?
Valicia.
What is it that Berry Gordy calls her?
He calls her black. He calls
Did he
her
call Diana Ross that?
That's what he and Diana Ross called each other. That was their word of love for each other. Because Berry has this thing where he says, look, it's not what people say, it's what they mean. He says language is language is different for different people. And we even have a scene in the show where we talk about it, because there was a time in America when black people didn't like being called black. It was seen as a negative and derogatory thing. And he said to her, he's like, you know, it's all about semantics. He's like, from now on, I'm going to call you black. We're going to give it a meaning of love. So he would say, hey, black, how are you? Oh, I'm good, black. That was their word of love for each other, a term of endearment. And when, you know, for me, studying to become Berry, I did a lot of reading, but also a lot of it came just from spending time with him and watching him interact with Valicia, because she so embodies Diana Ross that sometimes even he forgets. And he starts to talk to her as if she's Diana. And, you know, also she has so much information about Diana and their history that when they'll talk, she'll say, well, no, in 1972, when we moved to LA, someone's like, he'll be like, no, you remember you did X, Y, and Z. And they start to talk like that. And so I would just watch the two of them sometimes.
By the way, you went to Hitsville, USA, right?
Yes.
Right. You went to that place in Detroit. What did it mean to you? What does it mean to America?
I mean, it's really hard to really put together words to encompass all that Motown means to America. Motown transformed not just the music industry and the entertainment industry as a whole, but one thing I don't think people talk about enough, and give Berry Gordy enough credit for, is his role in the civil rights movement. I mean, he's really largely responsible for the transformation in thinking that we have as a society about the differences with each other. You know, Berry said, and he did a lot of work with Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King was actually a Motown artist. He was signed to a contract at Motown because Berry recorded all of his speeches.
He did his speeches, and they were part of Motown's
catalog.
Label.
Yeah, they were part of the Motown label. He had Martin Luther King under contract, and you know, he wanted to get those speeches out to people who couldn't see Martin and hear him live, so that people would understand what the movement was about and what Martin was talking about, because he believed in it. And he said they would have conversations, because Martin came to him and he said, your music is what our whole philosophy is about, you know, and people begin to connect through emotion before they begin to connect politically. They connected through the music before. And what he did was, with the records, he wouldn't put the faces of the artists on the records. He just put the music out there. And once people began to love the music, then he put the faces of the artists on the music so that people would identify what they loved with something that they were unfamiliar with. He put images of African Americans in the households of people around the world that were different from any images they had seen that had been really popularized in mainstream media before that, and really just transformed our entire culture. And people don't talk enough about what he did for the movement.
Brandon Victor Dixon plays Berry Gordy in Motown the Musical, playing at
the Lunt-Fontanne Theater on 46th and Broadway.
Well, we encourage everyone to go out there to see it. I know I'm looking forward to
Please do. We
seeing
look forward to having you.
Well, we wish you nothing but success and the best to you and your cast, and a piece of America that everyone needs to appreciate on the stage. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Steve. Appreciate it.
We'll be back from our Tisch WNET studios here at Lincoln Center right after this.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the CAUCUS Educational Corporation, celebrating 25 years of broadcast excellence in partnership with St. Joseph's Healthcare System. Funding has been provided by Barnabas Health, Berkeley College, the law firm of Gibbons PC, United Water, Wells Fargo, Verizon Communications, and by New Jersey Natural Gas. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area. One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been made possible in part by the Adler Aphasia Center.